All right, the objective of you clicking on this video and me presenting is quite simple. You are a technical writer or belong to some sort of writing profession. And we've been using MS Word, the traditional toolset, published to PDFs, use Google Docs, upload it into static sites, all that. But the world has moved on to Docs as code long ago. It's been 5 to 10 years, but many of us have been left behind either because we didn't have an opportunity in our respective organizations or any other limitations that we got. But docs as code isn't actually scary. I have been technical writer for almost 14 years now. I've been traditional tool user for more than 10 years of my professional career, and it's just 3 to 4 years since I've been applying docs as code. So trust me, I am not going to make this a theoretical presentation. I hate those long theory docs as code PPTs that get into Git versions, all the nonsense that we don't need to understand in the beginning of it. Yes, as we implement it, as we go along with it, we start writing, we publishing, we learn that. We don't need that now. And each of these contents that I have listed, I would be showing you the actual tools and how I navigate with them. That is my objective of creating subsequent tutorials. This is the first of it. So if you are serious about learning docs as code, just hook onto this playlist that I have, subscribe, and auto notify yourself by using the notifying bell icon that you got. So I just wanted to put this as a disclaimer that I would be doing a hands-on project. That is what I've listed as my fourth content here, that I have an objective that I want to publish, and this will be a journey from the beginning till the end. Not this video. Here we are just going to look at what it is and we'll get started with Git. But yes, there will be much more parts that will be following this tutorial. So since we have that cleared out, let's get started. The first one, what is it? Again, I'm not going to delve into the technicalities of it. By what I mean how. That is what I believe in. Showing you guys how to deal with docs as code rather than getting stuck with what exactly it is. We will use what, but only where and when we require. What is it? These are the This is a workflow. In fact, this is a workflow, and I would be showing you each of this in real time, what each tool looks like, how do we use it, and what we use it for. So docs as code you achieve by implementing number one, you need a editor. Why do you need an editor? Why do you need a code editor for writing technical documentation? Just like we use MS Word or Google Docs for code, we need code editors such as VS Code, and there are many more. I'll be listing them out later. So VS Code. Let's have a quick look at what VS Code is. Now this is a simple code compilation software. This is VS Code, and I'm showing you guys this because this resembles a page, as simple as that. This is a page where you start writing, and the language that you're writing, and by language I mean the syntax language that you're writing, would be mostly Markdown. Docs as code across the globe uses 95% of the times uses Markdown. And Markdown, trust me, is one of the easiest languages to learn. In this language more and more once we get into the workshop project. Great. You've seen VS Code. You've got an idea of what Markdown is. Your writing, editing part is done. The first two sections. Then comes your Git. Now, Git is a concept. It's a command-based system, and there are multiple softwares that support Git. One of them is GitLab. You would have heard about GitLab, maybe or maybe not, but I'm sure you would have heard about something called GitHub. These are two competitive softwares that support Git. Let me quickly show you. We don't need to dwell into much. I'll just show you why GitLab is here and what does it do. This is GitLab browser version. You also have desktop version. I use browser version because it is simple for me. And the purpose of GitLab is once you're done with writing your documentation in VS Code or any other editor, you need to push your code, which is your documentation. You push your technical documentation for three main purposes. Your technical documentation is going to go out as a website, and for a website to build, you need Git. You are not going to design the website, but Git takes care of it based on the configurations your organization sets. So Git builds that. They are called pipelines. You use pipelines to build, and then it tests. What does testing here mean? It tests if your syntax is right, if you have made mistakes with your cross references. All there are there is an exhaustive list of this, like what Git does for your documentation. It's an amazing tool that makes sure that what you're publishing is clean. It doesn't have any uh, accessibility or navigational issues. And once Git is done with running your build and your test, it also gives you an opportunity to preview. You can preview your documentation before you publish it. And Git is where you would get your peer reviews done, your technical reviews done, your approvals taken. And once all is that, you can mandate all this in Git. Like if you're once you send your documentation for review, unless it is approved, you cannot move forward. So it takes care of the entire DDLC flow here. Once you are done with publishing with your Git, you just have to preview, and your publishing team would take care of actually making it go live. And by live, it's nothing but a website. One of the examples that I would like you to see as the end output documentation going live is a well-known Google documentation. This is about Google Cloud, and many organizations such as Microsoft documentation. You can go for some automated companies such as automation companies, I'm sorry, such as Pega or UiPath. All of them use Git docs as code to publish their help documentation. This is very high level overview of the workflow that happens in docs as code. You write in a specific language in a code compiler, you run it, test it, build it using Git, you publish it using any of the static sites. You've got Jekyll, etc. And that's about it. That is, I understand this is very high level, but we can only get into intricacies once we start actually doing a project. Next, why use it? These are the sensible answers. It makes collaboration very easy. When you have Git, it makes it very easy for everyone in your team to see, collaborate, not just your writing team, your POs, your developers. They can look at your documentation, write their comments. So everything is happening parallelly. And this, the second one, versioning, would be the most important as well as extremely feasible feature that docs as code provides is versioning. You can go back to any of your versions, make changes very easily. It You can just imagine if you are a writer who's written documentation in text editors like MS Word, and you've got multiple versions of a software. It's not the easiest. Even with versioning built in MS Word, it's not the easiest. It takes huge effort to get those changes completed. But in Git, the versioning is again simple, but you will not, or we will not understand it by just reading a sentence. We will understand it when we actually do it ourselves, and I'm sure that I'll get to that in my later tutorials. Automation, this we talked about. I showed you GitLab where it tests, builds, and publishes. This automation is generally referred to as CI/CD. I want you to remember these terms. Continuous integration, continuous deployment, also called as continuous development. Transparency, this falls under collaboration. It has a clear view of who changed what, when, why. This is easier for us to roll back and look at the changes. And the organizations, remember this, it is not the easiest mission for any organization to jump from traditional technical writing to docs as code. But cost is not the main issue. It is about setting up the entire cycle. You need to have a writing team, you need to have a publishing team, you need to know the intricacies of setting up docs as code. But as a writer, your job doesn't include all of this. You will just write, test, and publish. And now that was the sensible answer for why use it. A more realistic answer is the job market. These days, every other LinkedIn post about technical writing or even content writing sometimes have these requirements. Open source languages such as tools like GitHub, Markdown, DevOps, which is nothing but combining your development and operations together and running CI/CD. This is why I asked you to remember this term, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. This has become a norm in information developer, technical writer, job descriptions. So this is a very realistic approach of why we should learn docs as code if we have not already. Moving on, the tools. We've already looked at tools, so let me be quick about this. Plain text formats, which is Markdown. We've got ASCII doc, restructured text. Like I said, 90 to 95% of times it is Markdown. You've got other uh, languages that are being used, but I am familiar with Markdown and we will be using Markdown for our project. Tools that you use, VS Code. You've got, you can even use your own terminal in Mac if it is Windows, command prompt to get this language ingested. Version control using Git. I already said this. GitLab and GitHub are some of the tools that you can use to make Git easier on yourself. Static site generators that are that help you do the final work. And remember, this is hardly a technical writer's job, but if you want to extend your skills, being part of publishing team within a technical writing team is always a plus. So there are multiple static site generators, Jekyll, Hugo, Docusaurus. We'll mostly stick with Jekyll to publish docs as websites. Moving on, the objective of this tutorial, which would be the end output here, would be building a technical writing portfolio. And do not assume that this limits to just this portfolio. The way we are going to learn, you can apply it for any of technical writing outputs, whether it is a user guide or a help note or complete web help documentation. That's what should be your goal. Once you learn this docs as code from these tutorials, your end goal would be to create at least a sample help documentation website. That should be the ideal goal. Before we begin, let's look at all the prerequisites you would need to actually follow along with me with this project. You need three main software installed in your local system. Number one, GitLab not necessarily in your local system. You can have just a browser account. So I'm not going to show you the navigation, how to create an account. It's basic. Just go to gitlab.com, create an account. You're done with first. Number two, VS Code. Again, just download VS Code. I will talk about extensions in a minute. And Python 3.10 is nothing for you to actually use. It runs in the background. So this helps with your Markdown documentation. So get Python 3.10 installed, or the ones late, the latest version is fine. Recommended VS Code extension. This applies once you have done your second step. Once you have installed VS Code, installing this extension is peanuts. You just go to your VS Code, click on extensions, and let me just search for an extension. For example, what do we have? And remember, these are not mandatory, not compulsion. It just helps you to render your documentation, give you better previews. So these are not mandatory. So if you can, just install these extensions within your VS Code. So you just go here and search for the extension that you want. For example, you wanted Markdown all-in-one. I already have it installed, so it doesn't give me the install option button. You just find this and click install and you are set. So once you are all set with prerequisites, we can get started. So step one, we are going to create and clone repo. Let me clarify what it means. Repo stands for repository. That is where all our files are going to be stored, whether it is content, images, any other configuration. files, everything is going to be stored in a single repo. Creating a repo happens within GitLab and we clone it locally. What do I mean by cloning it locally? What the entire repository is going to stay inside your GitLab, but we want to edit and make any changes and push them in local, that is your machine. So we clone the GitLab repository that we create now to our local machine. And down the lane, we'll see how the changes that we make locally in the machine are pushed towards the remote repository, which is in GitLab. Hope that's clear. Yeah. So let's get started. The first step is GitLab. Just go to GitLab, create an account, uh, use any of the existing accounts that you have, Google, GitHub. Yeah, that's a good thing. If you have a GitHub account, you can just link it with GitLab. So let me jump to my uh, GitLab. So the first time that you come here, this would be blank. This is your home page within GitLab, and you wouldn't see any projects. I have one project. Ignore that. So let's follow the steps that I have listed in the PPT. Yeah, GitLab, and we are going to use this project name. You can come up with your own. I'm going to use AB portfolio. So the first step, the very first step is create your repo in the project section. And just remember that repo and project are mostly used interchangeably. So we are going to create a blank project. So this is where you write your project name. I'm going to name it AB portfolio, and it would ultimately look something like this: project URL, HTTPS GitLab, and slug, which is nothing but the endpoint that are a unique identifier for your website. And we also get to select our group or namespace. Let me explain what it means. Focus on these two menus, projects and groups. So projects are nothing but, sorry, groups are collection of projects. So you can map multiple projects within a group. Now I want portfolio to be a standalone project. I don't want to link it to any groups. So I have an existing group, the first one, and I just want to map it to my username. So this becomes my project URL. The next field is project deployment target. What this means is where are you going to deploy your final output. In our case, it is going to be website, and I'm going to use GitLab pages. GitLab pages is the feature within GitLab which helps you publish your website using GitLab's pages. Next, we are going to set visibility level to public. Of course, this is a portfolio. I would like to share the website with multiple people, so I'm going to put this project as public. Project configuration, or select this initialize repository with a readme. It helps you to set a readme file, allows you to clone this project's repository. So check this up, and you can leave the rest unchecked and click on create project. So we have created the repo. We've got a readme file. We'll talk more about that. Remember that we are just configuring our repo right now. We have not started any kind of documentation. We are just configuring it. So apart from the readme file, we need to add another file manually. And how do you do that? Go to plus, new file. And this is where we need to add content for our new file, which is going to be called .gitignore. The purpose of this file is to ignore files that are created temporarily by GitLab. We don't want to store them always in the repo, and we need a script. You don't need to like go in depth about the script. Let me just share you the link. One of the GitHub pages has this, and I believe I have it right here. So once you click on the link, you will land up here. Copy this entire script and get back to your repo, paste it. Once you paste it, you commit your changes. Commit changes in layman terms is save. You can enter a commit message to remember what you did. So let's name it add.gitignore file. Option, keep it as main branch. Main branch, okay. Let's quickly go over branches in Git. Main branch is your default branch. You keep it updated, but when you are making changes to your documentation, when you are updating new versions, you commit to new branch. We will definitely talk more about branches in future. Right now in configuration part, we are doing everything in main because we want it permanently. Click commit changes once more. And this is your breadcrumb. You're currently inside the file that you just created, gitignore. I'm going back to the root repo folder. So we have our second file, gitignore. Now the creation part of the repository within GitLab is done. The second and last part of this tutorial is cloning it to your local machine. How do we clone it? We use VS Code. We can also do via terminal in Mac or command prompt in Windows, but we are going to use VS Code as our editor for everything. Perfect. So this is our repo. We've got two files, readme, gitignore. Readme, go ahead. You can, this is a file that is going to talk about how to use your repository. Understand that these files are not for end users. It is not for a technical writer's audience. These are internal for you, for your teammates, for your technical teams. So you are going to give any required information in this readme file. The most vital part to navigate your repo. So creation is done. We are moving to the cloning part. To clone, you need link to your repo. Where do you find that? Go to code dropdown. We are going to copy clone with HTTPS link. Copy URL. Perfect. You've got your link. Now we jump to VS Code. What are the things you need to be careful about in VS Code? Make sure that you are in the right, not right, preferred, the preferred folder that you want to save this project. So I'm creating it in the root. That's my equivalent of C drive in Windows. This is in Mac. So the git command to clone is git space clone and just paste the GitLab project, which is your repo link over here, and hit return, and it would start cloning. And your cloning is complete. Since we just have very minimal size repo with just 2 files, it's done in a second or two, but if our repository is heavy, this could take us. So the cloning part is completed. To verify that, just go to the folder that you intended here. In my case, it's named after me. Let me quickly go to file finder, and here you can see the folder name on the top and the repo that we just cloned. It should ideally have readme. That's the only readable folder. The other one is a configuration folder, which wouldn't be part of your local repo. So cloning has been successful. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. Going forward, I will continue directly from here. We will be creating folders, configuration folders, files, and once we are good to go, we'll get started with drafting content that is required for our target objective, which is a published website. In this progress, in this journey, we will make sure that we learn all the git commands, the process to push, the process to preview, how do you test, how do you build, how do you deploy. Perfect. One mistake I believe I did in this tutorial was a singular word. Let me quickly jump there so that I can correct it. Static site generators. When I was talking about tools, I spoke about static site generators. These are some of the famous ones. The one that I'm going to use is called, most probably we are going to use this mkdocs. I believe I said Jekyll, but no, we are going with mkdocs. So this is one correction that came to my mind. Hope you guys were able to follow me through the tutorial. Hope you had a overarching idea of how docs as code looks, but how it works, we still have some walking to do over there. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned if you want to learn more about docs as code and how to get it done. Have a nice day.